Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Between the Sharks. We are back at the ranch today. We are trying to prepare to start working on this house. In order to do that though, we have got to clear the perimeter, and it is in bad shape, gang. My goal / hope is to make short work of this project by employing the mini skid steer and the mini excavator, Backsaver 3000s, each one of them. Got a couple tricks up my sleeve, some mods I might try to do to this bucket to help us rip and tear weeds and vines. But I did get these in the mail, which will help us take vines out of this joint. So stay tuned, we'll find out if they work. If it's not clear to you through the video, it is an absolute swamp out here. It's probably in the mid 70s, it's probably about 11 a.m. and it's definitely 100% humidity. And three things like that: Virginia creepers, wisteria, and mosquitoes. Mosquitoes love this stuff. I guess English ivy loves it too. So anyway, anything that likes this weather is what we got to get rid of. Let me show you how bad this is. So that's at least 2 to 3 inches of what is now topsoil. It's accumulated because a lot of the problems with this house are resulting in poorly done additions. Then they were poorly maintained and the house was abandoned for 20 years. What I mean is the grade slopes this way into the side of that really crappy addition, and it's falling down because everything's just piled up against it. So we'll be taking that down and rebuilding it at some point in the future. But for now, if I don't get rid of this, it's just gonna take everything over. This thing is unnecessarily difficult to fuel. So, but while I'm doing it, I may as well tell you, you know, you do your research, you do the best you can, you learn. And I will say, it definitely seems that there are slightly better machines out there that have some features a fella might like pressure relief valves in the accessory lines. I don't think this has any. It also doesn't have any pressure gauges. I could add all that stuff. None of it's a deal breaker, but you know, but in case you fellas are looking, you know, like I was, trying to figure out what's the best machine, it's very unclear. Anyway, still no buyer's remorse. I think I got a deal on this. So I'm gonna run around, pick all the trash out of it because I don't want to pick up all this dirt with the mini excavator and dump it somewhere in the yard with, you know, all of this crap in it. All right, so there's a bunch of stuff. All right. So there's a bunch of stuff buried in there, including this huge splitting wedge. So, you know, my normal MO of either using a shovel or driving the lawnmower through this, which is, you know, the other option, that would have been a big mistake here. I also did find this buried somewhere in the muck. And you're darn right, I used it. A little bit of choke, throttle, key. Never really done this before, so we're going to see how I do with a flat blade on a solid surface. See what I screw up here. All right, gang, I'm learning. So not only to operate the machine, but also there's something I expected, which is this type of growth, this Virginia creeper and English ivy is all entwined and it's really strong. So once I get things into the bucket, as I go to move it, the vines just pull everything back out. So we got to rip and tear those vines. Rip and tear, Bruno, rip and tear. Same with this, like all of this has a root system in it. So when I pick things up, the leaves are on top, and then as I pull back, it's not tearing the vines. All right, let's see how bad this is. I mean, the shovels like that is what's killing us. This crazy root. So I'm learning how to use these machines, and I'm sure there's a good way to jam the mini excavator and grab all this stuff. But until we've got it all practiced out, I'm just gonna cut that stuff off. A couple things I know. For sure, these tools will tear out roots and things like that. But I also know, depending on what they're on, if they're that thick, the roots may be strong enough to take down a fence like this. Like, not these little guys, but we're gonna get to some on the other side of the house that, you know, I can grab a hold of them and tear, but, you know, you could rig a small sailing vessel with some of this stuff. I think it's going to be a little back and forth. I cut plenty of these big roots, but hopefully that root system will help us pick up all the dirt at once. It's deep over there. Definitely a huge improvement, fellas. That was a lot of dirt. May not look like much, but that's gotta be my estimation. The way I would normally do this is like 6 wheelbarrows full, you know, loading it with a shovel, rolling it out, and then dumping it. I do have to rake through it though. There are definitely bits and pieces. I found screwdrivers, I found all kinds of stuff. But at its deepest part, it was a full cinder block deep, which is 8 inches piled up against the side of this house. Like, obviously, all of this grading was done wrong, if it was done at all, or they just added an extension sometime way back in the Wayback Machine without doing any of it properly. No big deal. It's just wood and sticks, single story. We'll fix it eventually. But for now, I'm impressed with this. At some point I jumped off it, I grabbed the shovel, and I was trying to help get stuff into the bucket, the root balls. Man, it was heavy. I gave up on that real quick. So that was a quick reminder of how much back labor this just saved me, because this wet leaves and dirt stuff was heavy, is heavy. Now we're going to continue down. Again, you can see how this extension is failing really bad. We're going to go ahead and start with the mini excavator and start pulling all of this out because well, I just don't know what's underneath it. All right, gang, so the fuel is slightly more accessible on this fellet. Now you guys follow the videos, thanks. I want to make a correction here. This is a single pump machine, so the tracks and the arm are controlled by the same deal. So it gets real jerky if you're trying to do moving and lifting and all of that at one time. The machpro mini excavator is a 2-pump machine. So one pump controls the tracks, another pump controls the boom and the bucket and all that. So it is definitely smoother. All right, we tore out a lot of ivy. We also found a lot of garbage kind of piled in said ivy in these bundles, shingles, siding sections. And being honest with you, it feels like siding sections that they just kind of dropped as they were putting on the siding, but this is roofing from where the roof has failed. Mini excavator takes a little bit more practice than the skid steer, that's for sure. Just gonna keep working my way along the foundation. Once we get over here though, this is like where the full no joke jungle begins, because this is, I mean, this will take the fence down. It is not gonna break, so we may have to be jumping in and out with loppers and stuff. There's no question the excavator will pull it. The question is what will come with it. All right, gang, this thing is doing some great work. I'm not that good at it yet, I will admit, but like, look at this. I'm trying to get through here, maybe to get into this side of the house. But holy jungle, Batman. And not only is this viney stuff locking the gate closed, we also have a situation where most of that is poison ivy. So we're gonna be tearing it up. Here we go. If the rain holds out, please. And if you think I'm kidding me about these vines, like, this is where it's getting to. But gang, if we're not careful, you should see this. That is the same stuff, right? It is killing that tree. That tree's dead. So this is a big fight. It's only a matter of time before it weighs that tree down and it comes crashing down into the backyard. The property line, though, is a little tricky here. So unfortunately, that's a lot of it is just coming over from the neighbors, because the fence is right there. And I believe that's accurate for the property line. I did have a survey done. It's just been a minute since I stared at it back here. So again, we're trying to keep this at bay. It's a problem. I mean, this is like chainsaw work. So what I'm saying is, if I let this go for the whole summer, you know, this is just going to keep creeping this way. I'm not sure how much this grows a day, but in the southeast, kudzu grows about a foot a day. This is a legit problem to keep this house from getting completely swallowed by that. So I'm going to use these machines to see if I can fight my way through this gate. I can't really get through it right now, but it is my most convenient path. Let's see what happens when we try to tear this thing out. Cut this as much as I can, because, you know, I want to save on this fence as long as possible. It needs to go, but today is not the day, and right now it creates a bit of privacy, which you know, a fellow would like around here, despite putting this on the internet. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna back this thing up, grab the skid steer, and see if we can kind of forge a pathway through all this stuff. I mean, I don't know what's under there. If you think I need a bush hog on that thing, trust me, I'm already thinking about how to build one. But for right now, that would have been, I think, kind of disastrous. We'd have hit all of this stuff and just clobbered everything. And this is yet another problem. This is an auxiliary secondary power line that I think went to the back shop. If you haven't seen the videos on the shop, check those out. They're somewhere. I'll forget. I'll put them. No, just look in the channel. But the vines have killed this tree, and it's fallen over, and it's pinching that line, which seems to actually go all the way back to the street too. So I think they're energized. But what I'm saying is, but the other thing about that is, this wisteria, it's like thick rope, man. If I just start dragging this stuff, it'll just start pulling everything down. Now I hope to use that against it, though, with the teeth on the bucket, or this other kind of rake mechanism I think I'm gonna try to come up with, where if I can hook into it and just keep dragging it, maybe I can, you know, use its strength against itself. But before we start adding attachments to the bucket, I want to clean out this area right next to the house that has a lot of debris. So the plan is to just remove all of this from around the house. It may not look like much, but I've tried this on a couple of occasions with a leaf blower and a rake, and it's thick. So we got this machine. Let's use it, team. what this looks like to you fellas at home, but if you've ever had to rake wet leaves, like that was fast. 15 minutes maybe, and that's because I'm a novice at this machine. I am pleased with my investments so far. Again, gonna stall on installing teeth on this thing because I want to get the mini excavator in here and start to like rake off this top layer of English ivy, poison ivy, and Virginia creeper, because this is bad news bears. That's got to go. And then once that's done, I'm sure we'll make a mess out of this area, and then we will do that one more time. And essentially, because we cleared this path, we should be able to get the mini excavator through without too much trouble. We definitely found some things that would have caused us trouble, like well, that tree right there. Fellas, this thing is doing some work. I just shut her down for the noise. We're gonna jump right back into it here. But the wisteria vines that are pulling up, this is getting torn off the house by grabbing all of this stuff. I thought there was a retaining wall here. That's not really true. It's a massive tree root that we discovered with the mini excavator, clearing that out. We're gonna get back here, try to get all this stuff. Now that we've uncovered it though, we can more safely drive other equipment back here, and a bush cutter might be a good idea. However, if we'd gone straight for it, or had not done some exploratory surgery with that thing, I mean, there's kind of a rock wall. It's still a little hard to see, but somebody clearly did some stacked stone business right here. I mean, I guess maybe it's working a little bit, but you know, that's not the kind of thing you want to uncover with a lawnmower or a bush hog, or kind of just, you know, take that off some sweet jumps. Gang, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm small time and all that jazz, but this cheapo cobalt chainsaw on a stick has served me extraordinarily well, and I believe it will continue to do so right now. "40 volts of sayonara, sucker." She gone. She gone. Let's get back to tearing this out. I mean, this is that. And there's a lot of it. It grows fast. So I think the work right next to the house is a little too delicate for me, but I am getting better and getting better fast. Although, you know, obviously much respect to the equipment operators out there who really know what the hell they're doing. Now, as much as I want to just tear all of this out with the excavator, this has a row of rocks in it. Somebody tried to do some kind of landscaping way back in the day. And what I don't want to do is move those rocks to a place that I will forget them or they'll get buried. So that needs to be more of a strategic plan. We can get in here and see the foundation now. But while we have these machines out front, I'm gonna go ahead and try a little experiment to see if I can come up with a wisteria sort of ripper outer to see if we can clean this area up, you know, a little bit more, because it's not going to take much before that marches forward and we can't get anywhere in here. So gang, I was shopping for teeth that would work for this machine, and that was trickier than I thought it would be. I do think I found some, so we're going to try them. But in the meantime, I was engineering in my head how to do some kind of rake or whatever that would grab onto these vines and just drag them right out of the ground. Hopefully, that was the goal. And I came up with this that may be ingenious or maybe dumb. I don't really know, but we're about to find out. This was the simplest thing I could possibly think of. Grade 8 bolts with jam nuts through the holes to see if we can hook it onto all these vine things that are basically right on top of the ground or just under the ground, and tear them all out. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. We're about to find out. Here we go. Not a bad start. Good news is it's working. Bad news is I broke 3 grade 8 bolts. I don't know if I just dug it in too deep, or if I hit this root, or if it really is the wisteria, but like that's for real. So that's what we're trying to keep from eating this house. I'm not sure how it's not eating that house next door, but we'll fight back. I mean, we are somewhat achieving our goals here already though. We have cleared the perimeter of the house for the most part, which is where I needed to be so that I could, you know, start considering potentially thinking about working on the house. So I'm just kind of having fun at this point with this machine. Well, there's the proof. So this guy's hanging on. That's what we're trying to get rid of. I think that's bent pretty bad. Believe it or not, I got 2 sets because I was going to do all the holes. So it's 2 holes per tooth spot. So I'm going to go, we found a piece of a magnet. Great. I'm going to go ahead and add some more bolts and try to be a little more careful because it really is tearing stuff up, and I'm happy with that. And I'm not saying these are better than the teeth. I'm just saying it's working. Plan B. I didn't even bother going to get the new bolts. Let's see what this does. Got to experiment, fellas. So while I remove the remnants of these grade 8 bolts from the bucket here, let's talk about these teeth. I went on a great search to find these teeth. They're caterpillar style teeth. I got them from Digger Supply somewhere out in Albuquerque. I'll put the part number in the description. Here's a number in case I forget. And if not, just, you know, put something in the comments. I'll try to remember then and look at my purchase history. Now, I did buy, once I got the part number, Digger Supply on eBay is the one that seemed to have all the dimensions listed. And I could have taken that information and probably gone to Bezos and saved a few bucks. But, you know, Bezos don't care about my digger teeth, but I bet Digger Supply kind of does. Now, I will say, these things are stout, you know, but we did shear some grade 8 bolts, but, you know, grade 8 bolts cost a couple bucks a piece. These cost like 30 bucks a piece. So these things don't fit perfectly. They do have the right bolt spacing. Obviously, if you can get any teeth, you can drill holes in this plate. That's not a huge deal. I just didn't want to. So I think this is for a 5/8, which is informing me right now that this is closer to a 1/2 inch. So I did buy a box of washers, and we're just going to make it work. Now, these I believe are drilled for some metric size, so I got 7/16 hardware to not space that out. But if you look, it doesn't really fit. Whatever, we're going to make it work. We break the bolts, we break the bolts. You know what I'm saying? Got a sneaking suspicion we might break these bolts relatively quickly. These teeth don't seat against the bucket itself. So if that happens, maybe we'll see about just shoving them all the way back, drilling new holes. But we're gonna try it. All right, that looks mean as hell. Guys, this stuff is in the tracks and still not breaking. This stuff's like string cheese from hell. I guess that's why we're fighting it. Get out of my machine. So I don't know what's going on here. Don't know if I knocked a fitting or something, but we got a little bit of hydraulic oil there. So we'll keep an eye on that. I think I finally ran it out of gas. Otherwise, we got our first problem. Have seen on the old interwebs, some of these things do have gas gauges. This one is not one of those. These teeth are working great, and they are pulling these wisteria vines out of the ground. If you've ever tried to do this by hand, I have. It's awful. It's awful. This is way, A, more fun, and B, way more efficient. Again, we weren't looking for like clean and landscaped and pretty. We were looking for like rip and tear, and that's what we got. But like, you can just see, it's everywhere, man. Everywhere. Judging by the condition of the neighbor's property, we're gonna be at this forever. Gang, these machines really went to work today. I mean, I spent most of the day doing it. It's probably 5 o'clock now. Probably got over here around 11, checked the machines out, fueled them up or whatever. But then we got into all of this. Got this cleared out. You can see how much muck had built up here. We tore off all the vegetation that was hanging out right here. Now we can actually push our way through this gate, which is, you know, kind of one of the key features of a gate. It's actually the thing that differentiates it from a fence. This is all torn up. Hopefully we've killed a lot of stuff, but it is, I mean, it is just unbelievable how far and how nuts this root system is. It just, I guess it's like bamboo, grows underground, pops back up. It ain't good looking, but it's better looking. But importantly, a lot of that was poison ivy and stuff, so we have now cleared it out. We were able to make a dent over here, getting the piles like 8-9 inches of leaves out of here. So fellas, these two machines behind me performed excellently. That is the first time they've really been put to work. I basically only put another hour and a half, hour and a quarter on each one of those machines, and yet they did all of that work. Gang, if I busted out my usual tools for a job like this, like the loppers, the rake, pickaxe, and a shovel, I might have gotten one of the areas of the house done today and I would be exhausted and sore. I'm not tired. I did put in some work, but it's nothing like doing it all by hand. So are these the best machines of their kind out there? I really don't know. I don't have anything to compare it to, but right now, are they performing better than expected? Basically, like, yeah, 3 grand, 4 grand's not nothing, but it's inexpensive for a machine like this, and they are outperforming my expectations for sure. We are gonna put them to work consistently and see how the reliability on these machines is, but right now, guys, I got a lot done on a Saturday by myself thanks to these two tools. So thank you guys for watching Between the Sharks. If you made it this far, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. It's how the YouTube world goes round. I know. I'm dying to get to it myself. I would much rather have worked on this truck than dug up wisteria. I guess around here it's work before play, but we will indeed get to this. Good luck on your projects out there, and we will see you next time on Between the Sharks.